welcome,
Cool, bro.
Michael, to Metalero website. And it's a huge honor to talk with you about your solo career, the new album World of the Worlds Part Two, and other things related to the rock and metal scene. First of all, how are you during these pandemic situations around the world, in US? How
Yeah.
have you been during the worst period of this pandemic?
Man. The same as everyone else, man, just trying to hang in there and um waiting for things to things are getting a little better now, it looks like. But yeah, man, just like everyone else, man, it was just tough times. And like with this solo record, this part two, I started it right in the beginning of 2020, right at the beginning of the year, like before we even were hearing about any of this COVID. Because the band had a tour, Symphony X, we had a tour coming up in spring, and most of this part two was already written. So I was like, I can go back. I have a couple months. I could probably finish it up. And then that was the plan. And then, the band was going to be touring and everything was going to be great. And then all of a sudden it was just like, yeah, dude, everything, everything, went off the rails. Any kind of timing and touring and scheduling and, you know, and it's cool. I could spend a lot of time down here and, I got a lot of toys and kind of keep myself occupied. But then there's a point. It's like, man, I gotta get the frig out of this room, man. I gotta go do something. I don't know, go out to dinner or go to the movies, but everything's closed and it's yeah. I think again, like everyone else, man, it kind of just sucks the life out of everything. It's just like man, it's just a tough time. But I think at least here things are opening up and the mask thing is kind of going away. Some of the regulations, so hopefully it's good. But now that we're into this whole other thing with the whole Russia thing, and now it's like people just got trying to deal with the last 2 years of life, and now here here's a new thing. It's like people need a break, man, just some normalcy again. So I'm hanging in there, man. Just like I said, like anyone else, man, I'm just freaking hanging in there.
Okay, okay. So you are releasing a new album, Wars of Wars Part 2. How are you feeling about this new album in comparison to the times when you released your first album in the 90s?
Well, yeah, dude. Definitely a lot's changed, but doing a record. It's always for me. It's always fun. I think now, especially with the solo stuff, there's like things. I love all kinds of music, man. I love. I grew up with Sabbath and Priest and Maiden and Ozzy and you know I could go on and on. Pantera and Rush and Kansas and all that stuff I grew up with. And over time, as I got older, I appreciated more classical stuff and even some electronic music. I like a lot of different things. So nowadays, like with the solo record, for instance, it's like, you know, you can do a lot more. You can, um, I wanted to have all those things. I wanted to have this cinematic film score, Star Warsy kind of thing, but yeah, still metal riffs and the guitar playing and maybe some electronic. And where 20 years ago, it's like wasn't quite what you can do now. So I think that's cool. Like creatively, yeah, you have all these tools available to you now, which is awesome. Definitely. So it's yeah, man, it's always fun. I love getting in there and being creative and just trying stuff and just trying to do cool stuff that makes me excited. I'm listening back. I'm like, oh yeah, man, that's cool. That's And if not, I was like, all right, well, how can I make it cool? Let me put another guitar track on there or something else. So it's just great that we have all these tools nowadays.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, technology helps a lot for many musicians now. So, one question that I want to ask you is, why are you decide to bring a new album in these years? Because you formed your band in 1994, then you released the Dark Chapter in 1995, but then you have an blank space from that time to 2018 with War of War Part 2 1, sorry. So why do you decide to come back in this era?
Well, that first solo record, Um, that was, oh man, oh man, I was young. I remember it's like my old apartment, however old I was, I don't know, 20 something, and it wasn't even like, a real record. It was just me. I don't know. I had a 4 track maybe or an 8 track. I had some cheesy gear, whatever I could afford at the time. And I was just doing my thing, man, having fun and made a little tape. And that led to the band getting a deal. And I put the band together. So to me, it was like, that was like a demo. That really was a demo. And then, yeah, once we signed this deal with the Japanese label, they're like, oh, can we put this out? And I was like, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't care. I mean, it's the quality is whatever it is at the time. So really, that was even before the band. And then all those years, yeah, man, spent a lot of time, with the band and writing and doing that. And then um with the new solo, with 2018, it was actually 2017, I decided it's like, okay. Um and I think the big thing too is like Russ, he was playing with his other band with the Mob guys, and they had gotten into that bus accident. And and I know, I mean that he took that really hard. He was like, I remember talking to him, and he's like, man, I don't even know, if I can do this anymore. Something like that happens. I mean, you start thinking your whole life. It's like, oh man, I got my family, and you got to, your priorities change. So I mean, I was actually worried. I'm like, oh man, Russ, we don't know what's going to happen with the band. And he's like, no, man, I just need some time. He's like, I just need some time to just sort out things. And it's like, yeah, dude, whatever, as much time as you need. We totally understand. I mean, tragic thing like that, I don't know how I would, I would probably be the same way.
Mhm.
So there was a little bit of time, and I was like, um, yeah, well, maybe I'll just work on some solo stuff and do something a little different, like, more of this cinematic stuff and maybe some different instruments, maybe a little more electronic. I mean, the first one even had like some dubstep thing. I
Yeah.
mean, just goofing around, man. Just having fun. Um,
Okay.
so like,
Okay.
yeah, that's how kind of. And then eventually, of course, Russ is like, yeah, dude, I'm. This is what I do. I'm a singer. I'm ready to go. So, but there was that down period for a little bit there.
Okay. So what can we expect from this new album in comparison with the previous one, with World of Wars Part One? So how do you describe the album in terms of sound and lyrics? Is this kind of concept album because Part One, Part Two, perhaps will be in Part Three in the future?
I don't know if there'll be a part three. I mean, and only because when I first started writing, talk what we were just talking about, the band was kind of on a hiatus. We're taking a break and letting things work themselves out. So I was like, all right, I'll do this solo thing, and I just started writing, freaking writing for months. And then I came back. Eventually, I'm like, all right, let me see how much I have, and it was way too much stuff for one record. So even right then, I'm like, okay, since everything was written at the same time, and there's a lot of these themes that carry through different songs, it only made sense to be like, okay, I'll take half now, part one, take the other half and put it aside. Sometime down the road, I'll crack it open and try to finish that. So I mean, basically, it's to me, it feels like part of a whole. I don't think, yeah, there's things on this part two that are a little different, things on part one a little different, but basically, I mean, since they were written at the same time, and lyrically too, there's a little bit of that sci-fi, a little bit of the War of the Worlds, you know, but more of a them versus us kind of thing. So, the lyrics aren't all like flying saucers and, all this kind of nonsense. There's a little bit more to that. So, so yeah, with part two, I just, had some time here, like I said, and it's like, okay, let me try to finish this up. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's like part of a whole thing. And a part three, I mean, nah, I think, that ran its course, that whole thing. So if there is ever another one, it will be something totally different. Because I do remember at the end, man, with lyrics, I'm like friggin' running out of ideas. It's like, how much can you really do? You start to
Mhm.
run out of ideas. So.
Okay, okay. I know I know many fans would like to ask you, how is the situation with Symphony X? Also, what are you releasing an album solo and a project instead on a Symphony X new album?
Well, like I said, the whole thing was that the band was, on a hiatus. We had a little bit of downtime, and at the end of 2019, we were back. Russ was like, okay, let's keep going here. So right at the end of the 2019, we started touring. We were in Europe and wherever else, and we had this tour coming up in the States for the spring of 2020. And I said, okay, I have a little bit of time. The solo record, the part two, I mean, it was 90% done. So I'm like, okay, let me just do this, and then the band's gonna be moving, and then we're playing again, and things feel normal again. We'll be working on a record, and then of course, the COVID thing, it just knocked any kind of touring, any kind of plans, everything just went to hell. So I mean, luckily the solo record, it was mostly finished. It's been done for about a year now. It's been finished. Um, and now it's like, yeah, talking to the guys. I was talking to the guys, just the other day, and we're just trying to get ideas for the new record. And I think too, just the fact that we haven't played, like the last time we played was like 2 years ago, on tour, on stage, and um, I think now it's like, okay, what are we gonna do for a record? And we're trying to be inspired, and we're trying to be motivated. Um, but it's a little bit slower process. Like I feel it's like, and I think it's just from us, because we're kind of spread out in the States here. So just from us not being together, being on the bus, goofing around, playing, getting the audience reaction, all that energy, like that's a long time for none of that to happen. So yeah, but regardless, like we've been talking, got a couple ideas we're kicking around. I come down here every day, trying to work on some ideas and some riffs. So I mean, it's moving, but I think the 2 years of just not doing band stuff, it's like we got to jump back in. You got to get back on the bike, that kind of thing. So I mean, yeah, it's I mean, we're definitely working on it. We have tours coming up here in the States in May, and I think that'll help too. It's like, okay, man, kind of back to normal, and that energy is there again, and get this record and try to do something really great. So it's just gonna take a minute. And I think it's just the circumstances of everything.
Hmm? Okay. So when you are composing a song, how do you separate compositions for your solo project now and from ones from Symphony X? Because sometimes it's very difficult for some musicians.
Yeah, I mean, I don't just write songs and have them sitting around. I mean, it's always for a particular thing. It's like, um, if say for instance, Symphony X will talk about a record. It's like, oh, let's, and we always try to find an idea. It's like, okay, Paradise Lost. Okay, yeah, Paradise Lost. All right, music will be heavy, maybe a little darker, maybe a little more of that kind of thing. Uh, Heaven and hellish, that kind of idea. And then I'll just write, start putting things together for that, you know. And then that will be it. That will be that moment in time, and that stuff was written for that. It's not like, oh, well, there was something left over that could have been part of the Odyssey. Let's throw that in there. It's like, no, that doesn't work. The Odyssey, that was that thing, and it was written to be that thing. So yeah, it's not like I have songs and it's like, oh yeah, I'll use this one for that. Everything always has a specific thing. And with this one, War of the Worlds with the solo record, um, yeah, I mean, I knew there's always going to be similarities to the band. I mean, I kind of got my kind of riffs and the way I do things. But again, I wanted to do maybe more of this cinematic thing, more of this orchestral thing, maybe some electronic stuff in there. Just a little bit different. And then all that stuff, like I said, for part one and two was all written at the same time. And that was that. So with the new Symphony X record, I mean, whatever we kind of land on for an idea, that music will be written specifically for that thing. You know, yeah, it's not like I have tons of songs laying around. I don't. I barely can. get the ones that I need, when we're doing stuff. There's so much time goes into it, man. A lot of thought, and a lot of time.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's not like I'll pick something for this and that. It's like, okay, here's the solo thing, and it's War of the Worlds, and it's very cinematic, and Star Wars, and it's metal, and blah blah blah. And right now, Symphony X. Here we go. We got some ideas for the new record, and what's it going to be, and okay, let's get let's move in this direction. So it's always by an album basis.
Hmm. Okay. As you said in the previous answers, you said that now is the better moment for the technology, helps to with the drumming, this all stuff. Can you do by yourself in one PC or not a computer? So, why didn't you think about the drums by computer and know that for the first for and not use an human drummer like you did in the first part with John Macaluso and then again with this new album John Macaluso too. So why don't you decide to use perhaps your metal drummer program?
Um, I mean, another thing too. It's like Macaluso and JD. John DeServio. I mean, like we're all friends, and it's if you can have a human play the part, have a human play the part, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, I could program it. That's cool. But no, man, something like that. It's kind of cooler to have a real, you know, a real guy because it's like, yeah, can I play drums? I can play drums okay. I understand the mechanics and my programming. Yeah, man, I can program it to be believable. But then there's something about it's like, you know, with a demo, for instance, and I'll program the drums just so I have something to play to as a scratch, and I'll make it, really good too. I won't just, I'll kind of polish it. But then it's like, okay, dude, here's my idea. Um, maybe make some cooler fills or embellish it. The same thing with vocals. I'll have a melody and I'll hum it. It's like, well, here's the melody and the lyric, and on this record I used my friend Dino, and it's like, here's my idea, but now take it and make it, make it you, and make it better. So I think, at least with the rhythm section and the vocalist and that kind of thing, yeah, man, you can't really program a vocal. I mean, I wouldn't want to. Drums, yeah, maybe, but and even like there's some stuff on the record where obviously I can't have an orchestra down here, but in that scenario, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll build the orchestral parts, you know, and I'll try to add to that human. It's like, playing a little cello, I'm not great, I can get by, and I'll put a couple tracks down with the cello and mix it in with the real orchestra. So yeah, there is this human element. There is something about it, and there's a bunch of different instruments on the record that kind of snuck in with texture. So I think that human thing is, yeah, man, we could all do it on the computer, sure, but for me, if I can get a human being in there, and again, even if it's just underneath, if it's just the cello, there's some Middle Eastern part, and it's like I'll have whatever instrument, like a saz or something, tuck that in. It's like, oh yeah, that's really a person playing. That's not some sample. So it's the balance, man. It's the balance of trying to, I'm trying to do what I hear, which is this friggin' gigantic, epic thing, but still I want to make it human. So it's balancing that.
Okay, and why didn't you use Russ Allen for the voice for both album? Because
Why didn't I use who?
Russ Allen.
Oh, because he's in my band. That's, there needed to be, there needed to be different things, It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the next
Because I'm trying to make it different, you know what I mean? I'm
Yes,
trying to
yes,
make it a
yes.
little different. So I was like, yeah, let me
Yes.
just get Russ and Pinella and get everybody, Jason and everybody. And it's like, well, then it's a Symphony X record, so this needed to
Yes,
be
yes,
different. Yeah.
yes. So the one thing that I heard in your first album is about the Rick Rick Costello voice
Mm.
in the part one. That's amazing because it's more lyrically and very different from Ras Allen. But in the second album, Dino del Jelusic, that's very
Yeah.
difficult,
Mhm.
very difficult second
Jalusic.
name.
Yeah. Jalusic.
Jelusic has a little combination of Ras Allen and lyric parts. So why did you decide to change the vocals for the first to the second part? And why did you use Rick Costello like the first time?
Um. Well, I mean, when I started working on the second one and getting it together, I thought, yeah, maybe. I mean, Rick, Rick's a friend of mine, and he's an unknown guy, um, and I just thought it would be cool to have like an unknown guy, come in, um, you know, somebody gave me a chance. When I was young, somebody brought me in. I was like, yeah, man. I mean, I think Rick's a great singer, good friend of mine, and I mean that was cool. But then for part two, I was like, maybe someone else, or I even thought about a different singer on every song, like that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
I was thinking about that for a while. I'm like, maybe that's not right. Um, yeah, maybe just one guy, keep it all um, kind of the same sounding. And then I was just thinking of different guys I could get, different friends and musician singer guys. And then I was on the phone with Simone Molaroni, and he mixes and masters these records, always helping me get them done. And he's like, oh, I can just ask my buddy Dino. He would love to do it. And I was familiar with Dino, and I was like, yeah, sure, man. And we sent some tracks back and forth, and I was like, yeah, dude, perfect. So I mean, it just kind of worked out like that. I kind of wanted to try something different, and yeah, it worked out good. I mean, it's kind of similar. I mean, yeah, and I think Dino. I mean, he probably has the same influences as like a lot of guys like Russ. Maybe a little Dio and a little bit of bluesy kind of thing. And singers have their guys, that they all like. So, but regardless of that, I mean, I just thought what he did, um, was perfect for what it was.
Hmm. Okay.
For what it needed to be. Yeah, it needed to be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like a more mellow song. It needs to be a little soulful, a little more emotion. The heavy song, it's like, yeah, man, a little bit of grit, a little more aggression.
Okay. Okay, one. The Dark Chapter was released by Siri Corporation in 1995. Then World of the Worlds Part 1 was released by Music Theory Recordings. And now this new album is released, I think, for the biggest progressive label in the world, Inside Out of Music, because they have a lot of there's Kansas, a lot of bands into there, a lot of progressive bands into there. So how are you feel about this union with the Inside Out Music? I think the biggest label into the progressive and rock metal scene.
Yeah, I mean, and we were with, Symphony X. We were with Inside Out,
Yeah.
years ago, and I mean, it was a great relationship then, and um, so for this record, I was like, oh, okay, maybe, we kind of talked a little bit, and they were like, oh, dude, we'd love to have you, and I'd be like, oh yeah, man, because I know all those guys for years, the band did a lot of records with them, so I mean, it just worked out cool, man. It's kind of cool when like you kind of have people that you've worked with, and it's like that relationship is there, So for me, it was like, yeah, man, that's kind of a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, sure, you know.
Mhm. Okay, as a guitar player with Symphony X, you inspire a lot of musicians and new bands around the world. Have you had the chance to listen to some of these bands? Do you still have time to listen or discover new music with your influence, perhaps?
Um, yeah, I mean, you know, I'll try to listen for new stuff, and I think the last 2 years though, there really hasn't been much. I think, um, yeah, again, with the whole COVID thing, I think maybe people have records done like me and waiting to release them. And then I know some guys were really productive. And then I know a lot of guys that couldn't get anything done because it was like, it's like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, I mean, I'll try to listen. Lately, I haven't really heard heard anything. I mean, I've definitely heard some good bands. There's a lot of good guys out there. But then again, like working on a record, it's like, you're kind of in that mind frame of, I don't want to really listen to too much. I want to do my thing. And now we're starting a Symphony X record, and we're trying to get in that. So, you know, if I want to get inspired, I'll usually go listen to the stuff I grew up with, man. I'll put on some Sabbath, or I'll put on some Priest or Ozzy or Pantera or Rush or Stravinsky,
That's right.
or friggin' Star Wars. I mean, anything that kind of gets the juices flowing.
Mhm. Okay. Also, how do you see the progressive metal now, a scene from your perspective nowadays? There are many bands introducing new sounds to the music, like pop elements, or what they call the degen sounds also. So, have you ever thought about introducing new elements to your style? Maybe degen sound or guttural vocals? Who knows?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think even on part one, again, trying to make it different from the band. Um,
Yeah.
there's some electronic. There's like some dubstep, freaking dubstep stuff. Kind of metal dubstep thing. So it's like
Yeah.
I will try to do some different things. But it has to be stuff that I like. It's like, oh man, you should have this hip hop vocal. I'm like, yeah, I mean, all the respect in the world to the hip hop guys, but I mean, it's kind of not my bag. So, yeah, electronic stuff, yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, and I can work with it, and I can try to incorporate it. World instruments, different kind of instruments, yeah, sure, that's cool. So, I mean, if it's something that I like, that I enjoy, then I'll try to make it fit in. But it has to make sense. That's all. It has to make sense. I mean, at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it's like for me now, it's really about the song. What can make the song better? It's like, okay, give me a riff that's cool, and um, give me a melody on the chorus that's, I don't want to say poppy, but yeah, why not? Catchy, something catchy. Yeah, and if there's synths on it, great. If there's guitar or whatever. So to me, it's more just about the song.
Mhm.
You know? I mean, I have no problem trying different things, but it has to be something that not gimmicky. That's what I'm trying to say. Not like, oh, the newest thing is, harmonica. That's the biggest craze. I'm like, I don't want a harmonica. It doesn't fit what I'm doing, and, you know. But if
Yeah.
someone's like, oh man, you should put a cello on there, I'm like, oh, okay, I like that stuff, and okay, cool, that works for me. So I
Mhm.
mean, everybody's different. Some guy, some
Yeah.
guy might do the harmonica metal
Yeah.
record, and it might be great. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, as I said in the first question, we will talk about, well, and also we are very close to in this interview. We all talk about other matters like the how for you, what is the biggest difference that exists already into the proc 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 power metal from US from proc power from Europe, because in Europe we have Evergrade, other kind of styles there, and here in this side of the world we have you. You are we are the greatest precursors, or we're the greatest founders of this style in US and around the world too.
Yeah. Again, man, everybody's different. And that's what's cool. That's what's cool, man. It's like, yeah, maybe these guys from wherever, from Sweden, they got this thing going on. It's like, yeah, that's fucking cool. Or yeah, these American guys, they're doing this thing. I mean, I think that's what's cool, man. Everybody is a little different. And to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, the whole Prague thing, it's like, I mean, what does that even mean anymore? It's like, just give us some good songs and some good music, and it's like, oh, it's in seven. Okay, is that Prague? I don't know. I mean, if every song is in seven, that's not really Prague. The thing with the Prague is just trying to move things forward and trying different ideas, that kind of thing. So I mean, I think that term is just kind of. I think some people don't really know where to make of that. Like it's a bad thing, or it's like, oh, it's overly complicated. It's like, no, no, it's to me, like a prog band is like willing to try new ideas, and yeah, maybe the music's a little more complex, or maybe it's a little more deep. You know, maybe it's a little more sonically dense. You know, this kind of thing. So, yeah, and about, I mean, dude, I don't care if they're from Mars and they got a good song, I'll listen to it. You know, I don't care if they're prog or metal or power metal or death metal. I don't give a shit. If it's cool, I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool. You know, I think sometimes the labels are misleading. You know.
Hmm. Okay, so before we finish, any story about touring across Latin America that you would like to share with us? With Symphony X, who knows?
Um, yeah, I mean, you know, it's been so long, it's hard to even remember. Honest to God, it's been so long. You know, we just haven't done it. But I mean, every time we're there, man, it's always great. You know, it is always great. I mean, we always feel very welcome, and like people are happy to see us every time. Um, so that I mean, that does. I mean, yeah, man, does that sound cheesy? Yeah, I mean, but it's coming from the heart. You know, I mean, we feel it's very genuine. You know, talking to people and the reaction that we have. So, um, and it's always like that. So it's like, yeah, I don't really have any bad story or like, you know, great. They're all great stories. It's always good. But but just that it hasn't happened in 2 years. I mean, it's um it's just tough. I think it's just tough for a lot of bands now. And I see a lot of guys trying to get the touring coming back, and I see some things still getting canceled in Europe. So, you know, we're all just trying to hang in there. But yeah, again, every time we've been there, man, it's always been fantastic, man. Fantastic. Great response, great people, man. So hopefully, you know, we'll be back soon. I mean, I know we will. You know, I think there's some places in the world it's going to take a little longer. You know, it's in
Yeah,
Europe, and now we have this whole other thing, you know, with
pandemic.
Russia, and that's, you know, it's like, man, it's like, dude, you know, the whole world just went through this friggin' COVID nightmare of 2 years,
Yeah,
and now it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, here's this thing. Here, let me throw this at you. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? You know,
COVID,
so
yeah,
I think I
war.
think I think the whole world needs a break, man. The whole
Yeah,
world
yeah,
just
yeah.
needs some normalcy so people can enjoy living and having, you know, doing what they do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 2 years of COVID now. I
Yeah,
think
man.
1 year more war. So who
Oh,
knows when the world will be better in the
uh,
coming weeks. Well, well, Michael,
yeah,
thanks a lot for your
yeah,
time.
let's end on a positive note.
Yeah, yes, yes. So, well, Michael, thanks a lot for your time. Congratulations on the new album. It
Thanks,
sounds
man.
great as usually. We already post a review in our website. So, anything you want to say to your fans here in Latin America and Metalitum readers?
I mean, just definitely thanks for always being there. You know, I think the thing about metal or prog metal, whatever you want to call it, I mean, there's always that fan base, and there's always a, you know, it's like a family, man. Like we all, I mean, and I'm a fan too. I love all these different bands too. So it's a cool thing, and yeah, the COVID thing. I mean, just everybody got disconnected from music, and you know, myself included, man. Like trying to write now for this band record, it's like I'm having a little hard time just trying to be inspired, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, it will happen. I'm not worried about it. But yeah, definitely, you know, thanks to everybody for being there, and with the solo record, I hope they like it, and the Symphony X record's in the works. You know, it's gonna take a minute, like it always does, but I think everyone will like it, and I think as more and more things open up, I mean, we'll be touring more and get to see everybody and try to make it feel like, you know, normal, just enjoying music. You know, we got to get back to normal stuff, man.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, again. And one thing before we leave in this interview, can you record a little video inviting to read and see this interview at metalitum.com? It's possible to do now?
Yeah, what do you want me to say now?
So, it's something like this. Hey, Latin America, I'm Michael Romeo from Michael Romeo and Symphony X, and I wanted to invite you to read and see this interview at metalitum.com.
At
Or
whoa, whoa,
.com.
whoa, 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 whoa. At what? No,
Metallerium.com.
metal. Yeah, I saw. Hold on. Let me see. Hang
Okay.
on.
I will check out my camera to record just you, okay?
Wait, give me a minute, bro.
Okay, okay.
Metallarium.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
All right, so hold on. Let me just practice one. Metallarium.
Okay, I will take out my camera to record just you.
All right, don't. This ain't the one. Let me practice, man. 'Cause
Yeah, okay.
That's a mouthful. All right, so I'll say, hey everybody, this is Michael Romeo from Symphony X. Inviting you to check out
Okay, it's okay.
this interview.
Yeah,
at
this interview at metallarium.com.
All right, so is it weird that I'm looking at you? Oh, fuck.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just
All
looking.
right, practice one. Hang on. All right, hey, this is Michael Romeo from Symphony X, and you're... Oh, no. Hey, this is Michael Romeo from Symphony X, inviting you to check out this interview on metallarium.com, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right, ready? Here.
Yeah, it's ready.
All right, so take one. Here we go.
Okay.
Because it might be take three. You never know. Hey, everybody. This is Michael Romeo from Symphony X, inviting you to check out this interview at metallarium.com. Yeah, maybe, no?
No, works perfectly for social media. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much again, Michael, for
All right,
this
dude.
amazing interview. You're a great guy.
Yeah, man.
I hope to see you with Symphony X or your band in the
Yeah.
coming years.
Sometime soon, man. I mean, we got to get through this craziness, bro.
Yeah. I hope you too. So have a
All right.
great week, and a
You
great
too, man.
weekend too.
Yep.
Okay.
Stay safe, dude.
Okay. You too. Okay. Bye.
All right.